Hello, everybody. Today is June 21st. We're doing AI, robot, and nonsense for your end of the week.
And we already kind of talked about this, but this was the big story of the week.
Apple brings ChatGPT to its apps, including Siri. Apple has gone out of its way and it's like, I'm about to share information with OpenAI. Are you okay with this? Please confirm.
Well, what it really is please, EU, don't hurt us.
Yeah.
They also announced, not this week, but last week, about the cloud black box that's going to protect you.
That worked out for the nudes, didn't it?
I don't think that's going to work out for anybody. But they are kind of, marrying themselves to OpenAI, which Microsoft, that's a little bit of polygamy, isn't it? But maybe Apple is looking for even more of that.
Craig says Apple hopes to add Google Gemini and other AI models to iOS 18 that, hey, we're not necessarily wed to OpenAI. This is more of a threat to OpenAI, I think.
We're still seeing other people. We're still dating around.
Stay in line. That's what Craig is saying.
And here's an interesting headline. I think I can make a guarantee.
Tim Cook is not 100% sure that Apple can stop AI hallucinations.
I'm 100% sure he can't. But it is important that he put that out there because there's going to be some embarrassments coming up, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like we're about to see 3-4 weeks of hard headlines of people doing really dumb stuff because their phone told them to.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily, though. Sometimes people do really dumb stuff, even though their phone didn't tell them to. And in the executive boardroom of Adobe, there's been a lot of that.
Adobe overhauls its terms of service to say, it's not going to train AI in customers' work.
I don't believe that.
Because they had already overhauled their terms of service to be even more egregiously abusive. And the people actually turned up and said, we cannot abide by this, Adobe, and started canceling their subscriptions and hurting their bottom line. But the reality is that Adobe's already done the analysis, and they figured out that the number of people that need to subscribe to the Creative Cloud is going to go down sharply because of AI. And so they're trying to hedge their bets and get in on that. And we really need to control and monitor how you use Photoshop so we can use that data stream to train an AI to use Photoshop.
But they are still going to monitor your Photoshop to just make sure that you're not doing anything that's not allowed. Mm-hmm. Any wrong think in your images, that's going to get filtered right out. But they're not going to use that to train the AI, or so they say.
Did you predict that I would say this is going to be about Meet the Pyro?
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Well, this is we're all going to be angry about what's coming next, right? So how do you deal with that? Do you maybe do something that won't make people as angry? No. Just use more AI.
SoftBank's new AI makes angry customers sound calm on the phone, so everybody can experience the world behind the goggles of the Pyro.
See, I was thinking more like, I have no mouth, but I must scream. I can't scream. I want to, but I can't. They won't let me.
Now, they did point out that they thought it was important that anger could still be expressed because the person working with you needs to know that. So they'll let it be just a little bit angry. So you can sort of trickle out your anger.
I mean, you shouldn't abuse people who are probably just trying to help you, but sometimes you just need to be angry. We don't need to try to stifle every human emotion here.
These New York Times headlines are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't have a script blocker on this browser right now. But this is, you know what this is about, right?
Yeah. It looked like a reliable news site, but it turned out that this news site was just an AI aggregator that was putting everything together, and it fell apart.
Breaking News Now, I think is what it was called, right?
BNN.
So it was an app that was pure AI drivel about news, and it was just making stuff up. And one of the things that it made up was a horrible crime, which it added a picture of a radio DJ. What country was he from? Was it Australia? And he was like, wait a minute.
I'm not. This isn't me.
So BNN is now shut down, I think. It's defunct. But nobody's really sure who was behind it.
How many more of those are probably just out there? How many have we quoted and not known because we were looking for a paywall alternative?
It's just one guy in a Discord somewhere. He's like, listen, this was running on 2 V100 GPUs, and then it ballooned into 50 H100 GPUs. I just had to shut it down.
Now, we all know that, we're deep in the AI age at this point. Maybe not deep into it, but it's here. Everybody's being impacted by it. We're looking at NVIDIA literally, ruling the world. But now they've had some time everybody's invested. They gobbled up. They drove the prices up on those H100s. What are they doing with it?
The Register's headline is "Payoff from AI Projects is Dismal," business leaders complain. Yeah, this is Warren Buffett he's like, I don't understand anything about anything. And I looked at this and it's like, when is your payback? Like, you spent all these billions of dollars on AI. Are you going to get payback in 2 years, 5 years, 20 years? Like, and he's like, I just looked at the bottom line and I looked at the numbers and it's like, even if thing X, Y, and Z happened, the payback for this is still at least 5 years out. And there's a lot that can go wrong between now and 5 years. So I don't know why these companies would spend this kind of money. And it's like, holy crap, Warren Buffett, you don't understand anything about the technology. And yet you're exactly right.
But think about McDonald's, right? McDonald's is now using image AI on my car and my face as I drive through. It's using AI on the menu. It's using AI to look at my historical orders. If it can't upsell me, how much did they lose on that transaction from all that processing cost? And how much sunk cost
That's
do they
why
have?
not buying things is a superpower. You got to poison the data set by just being weird.
So the pro move, if you want to rail against AI, drive through a bunch of fast food restaurants, and when they pull up and they ask you what you want, just be like, nah, I don't want anything.
Just make a weird face like you do at the grocery store.
Well, I think for what Warren Buffett was doing is he was looking at like your McDonald's example. And he's like, all right, let's assume that literally everybody in the entire McDonald's is like the one person runs the entire McDonald's. Everything else is robots. Is that enough to offset what has been spent on this? And the answer was no.
But also, famously, the Ford car company, a lot of their success came from the fact that they had to pay their workers more because the assembly line was soul crushing. And when they paid them more, they bought Ford cars. This is literally the opposite.
You're getting rid of consumers.
Yeah.
You're taking your product away.
And this one, I got to give
This
Ars,
is my favorite story.
Yeah, Ars Technica. So often these news websites don't give you enough images.
There's plenty.
Ars Technica really got it. They did it right here.
New Stable Diffusion 3 release excels at AI-generated body horror.
Scroll down to the one of the woman on the beach. That's the best one.
Well, we'll scroll through all of them.
Yeah, they're all really funny.
So
This is amazing.
hands are not quite right. That's difficult. That's difficult to draw, right, Chris?
Yeah, that's foreshortening. That's what that's called.
I like how that's the same one up here, but slightly different.
Yeah. It's kind of like the characters from like The Forest. They're mutants.
It's so good at everything but the hands. That's weird.
Or just bodies in general. It's really struggling. Ugh.
This reminds me of how
Let's scroll down some more. There's another one.
the entity in The Expanse, when it was like trying to figure
There you
out how people were put together. This reminds me how that was described.
So this one kind of points out what the issue is here. The issue is that Stable Diffusion updated to try and deal with people generating nudity. And one of the things that seems to be in there is like, if you experience nudity, just don't do that. And when it gets there, it's like, I don't know, I want to fill this in with this. This is the right answer, but I'm not allowed to do that. So whatever, I guess.
What's funny though is like the prompt for this one was just woman on beach, and it still just generated something terrible. Like,
But women on beach are going to be mostly naked at all times, right? So
I mean, you think there would be some training data with them in a bathing suit, but I guess not.
I bet it's not just naked.
It's just
breasts and
anything.
It's just like that area of the body you're going to have to be real careful about. Well, Elon Musk, as usual, a lot of headlines about him this week, mostly negative, and he is taking a bit of an L here because he ran his mouth off and counted on people not calling him.
Elon Musk drops his lawsuit after OpenAI published his emails. His recollection of things did not match reality.
Well, they didn't say why they dropped it, but that's probably why.
Although he did get his Tesla bonus. He did get his $50 billion, which,
That should make things better over the weekend, right?
Yeah.
You can really just use that on a drug-filled binge.
I've had a tough week. If you gave me $50 billion, it would turn things around.
Yeah, you know.
You are not coming in Monday.
See ya. That's the meme where it's the guy and he like pieces out and he just disappears. Like,
Yeah.
In a cloud of money.
yeah.
It's like the X-Men, the Iceman. It's like the Iceman, but with money. You're just riding a wave of money off as you go.
If that could be done, I bet he would do it.
Yeah.
Now, all of this, we're talking about it seems like there's a backlash coming to AI, right? Because it's not doing what they promised. It's invasive. It's expensive.
Congress is asking questions.
It's destroying the economy and the environment. So what do? Well, you start paying a certain group of people a lot more.
OpenAI bolsters its lobbying arm amid regulatory pressure because the regulatory pressure is looking around. It's like, why is there only one person working at McDonald's? What's going on?
So, yeah, I'm sure there will be a lot of saber rattling there. And we are all enjoying our new Google search results in artificial intelligence, right?
No, I've been hitting that little ... and hitting web every time.
Well, some people ask the question, how much better is that result in terms of, when compared against its cost in terms of energy? We go back to McDonald's thing. If I don't ever read your AI results, how much money are you wasting showing them to me? This is very back of the envelope math, but they have a number.
What do Google's AI answers cost the environment? And then you do this and it doesn't look great.
10 times more.
Whew.
So every search result, imagine how many search results Google has, multiply that number by 10, and that's the impact that they think is happening with the AI results, which is a lot. And all of these companies trained on data, and they asked no questions about whether we should do this. Do we have a right to do this? And those chickens are coming home to roost.
Clearview AI used your face. Now you may get a stake in the company.
They don't have enough money to pay the class action, so they want to give you a piece of the company, which, if that went through, would be worth nothing, right?
Yep.
So you get nothing.
I'm imagining the Willy Wonka scene. You get nothing.
Good day.
You might actually get, maybe they'll give you a nice AI-generated NFT of a beautiful woman for your troubles.
AI-generated models, which discreetly hide their hands, star in a new virtual beauty pageant.
That's an interesting, let's go and look at the website. Let's see how many of them are actually showing hands. They've got some.
That one has one.
You can't submit anymore, but here are the finalists, I guess. Oh, here's some hands.
Yeah, some of these have hands.
Most of them are cleverly hidden, though. That one's in the basketball.
Got
Hers
them in their pocket.
pockets.
Yeah. A lot of them in their pocket.
Maybe Ann Curdy should get the vote just for having good hands. I don't know who gets the vote on that. And
I don't know, why care?
Yeah, what does it matter?
Yeah. It's not like you're helping one of these girls get through college. They're not real.
And I love this because in the age of AI, when everything is being ruined, I love people who just want to go and troll AI. That's so much fun.
Photographer disqualified from AI image contest after winning with a real photo that was not obvious that it was actually a real photo.
I do think they should have been disqualified because they were clear it was an AI image contest. But I also, the inner troll in me does love.
Interesting what the runner-up was, though. Just Moss Girl.
No hands.
It's literally just a hot girl. It's like the front page of Reddit art.
Hot girl in nature. Everybody loves those, right? Well, moving on to the actual robot category, and boy, is it more bad news. Waymo just cannot figure it out.
Waymo issues a software update because it ran into a telephone pole. Oops.
Luckily, no one was in the car. But someone was waiting for it to arrive, and they did interview that person. They were like, yeah, it never showed up. I heard it crash.
No. And then I was like, I need to get out of here.
Apparently, somewhere in the training data, the telephone pole had been extremely lowered in terms of definitely avoid this. And so the car was like, I could probably run over this.
It's like me in GTA. This piece of the environment will probably break.
It's like those videos in Vegas where somebody did that with Tesla's AI and children. And they were like, oh, let's throw the children dummy in front of the Tesla. And the Tesla's like, I can take this. It's fine.
You want me to drag this for a couple of miles, right? Got it.
We learned that lesson 20 years ago in the Knight Rider 2000 made-for-TV movie where they were trying to get the new version of KITT up and running, and it was like, no, I can take that deer, no problem. And it's like, yeah, it's not KITT. You can't.
Deer always wins.
You come on.
We're going to have a new bingo square for ridiculously specific, obscure TV
media,
reference.
yeah.
I mean, you've almost got timestamps. Now, the little spot dogs, we were all so enamored with the spot dogs, but we all asked the question, what are we really going to do with those? And it seems more and more that it's basically just for cops.
Yeah.
But they use them a lot.
AI-brained Dutch robot dog goes solo on drug hunting tests in a first. Yeah, this is great. We've done this. Like, this is not a new configuration for Spot. Spot excels at this kind of work.
Whenever we ask ourselves who's going to lose their job to AI, no one thought it would be the German Shepherds.
Oh. Now they have to find a rich family who wants a purebred dog.
And robotic surgery is certainly nothing new, but usually it's not used on the brain.
World's first pediatric robotic brain surgery performed on Oklahoma girl to help with, it was deep brain stimulation to help with seizures.
I think we talked about that in a recent show, where like they just shock parts of your brain and it has permanent impacts on some of your stuff. So she was like really shaky, I guess, couldn't control her limbs and stuff, and they claim it had a massive effect.
Well, that's cool. Some good news.
And a lot of people are sort of panning this as just being Elon trying to move the needle on the whole, should the shareholders give him his billions of dollars? Turns out it worked, I guess.
Tesla claims it has 2 Optimus humanoid robots working autonomously in a factory. And this is also the one that Elon Musk, I think, said that they would probably sell them for $10,000 to $20,000 each by the time everything was said and done. I saw the GTC. I physically was at GTC, and they physically had the Mercedes humanoid robots, which were much simpler in terms of construction, and those were operational at GTC doing some very impressive stuff.
If Elon Musk wanted to be the ultimate troll, he would program these guys to go around the Tesla floor and inappropriately touch the women.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that we could get a version of the Boston Dynamics Spot robot that is way less than 10 grand, which would be, like the elderly person laundry robot, where it's just carrying around a laundry basket, or can help you unload the groceries, where like you unload the groceries from your car into the robot and it walks around with you. That would sell really well.
I'm imagining though, like the scenario, like with the Waymo thing, where like sometimes it just thinks it can take like the old person and it just runs them over and like and just goes right over top of their prone body.
Or it runs out of battery in front of the bathroom door and they can't pick it up.
Oh yeah,
because they forgot to charge it. There's a lot could go wrong there. And there's a lot that can go wrong in space, but you got to admit, Mr. Musk is doing it better than anybody ever has. As usual, his goals are really far-fetched.
SpaceX wants to build 1 Starship megarocket a day with new Starship factory. You should go watch the animation of launches, because not the Starship launches, but like they really are launching like 2-3 rockets a day sometimes from the other launch pad to just. It's not like Starship, but it's the smaller one. But that is insanely impressive.
But 1 a day? Do we need that?
Well, if there's millions of people living on the moon, yeah. But it'll be a while before we get there.
Well, not according to him. And moving on to the nonsense section. Now, this one is very interesting. But I got to say, I hate this new trend of like old musical groups just replacing everybody and touring with the same name. Why? Just call yourself something else. I mean, I know why, because money.
The 4 top star in this article says that they put him in a straitjacket in the hospital and ordered psychological examination after not believing that he was a famous singer.
I wouldn't believe him either, because he would say, I'm the lead singer for the 4 Tops, and I would do some quick math in my head and be like, wait a minute, you should be dead.
Yeah.
But he joined in 2018.
why not? But like, I'm imagining the scenario where I'm like the nurse or the attending doctor, and this guy says that. Wouldn't you just check it on Wikipedia? You know what I mean? Like,
Probably,
he's delusional, and it's like, well, maybe he's not. Like,
I think he had suffered some trauma, so maybe they thought he had a brain injury or something. I don't know. Also,
I feel like you could verify that, like either by looking it up or like talking to a family member.
You know what? You could open up your Apple phone and ask ChatGPT.
Yeah, there's ways to verify information.
And probably, I would say, like I'm not a big fan of censorship, but maybe certain things shouldn't be shown to the children in school because they're not particularly educational. I don't know, maybe.
Connecticut town must pay $100,000 to family after teachers showed a Kendrick Lamar video in class. Apparently, one of the kids in class had a parent in law enforcement, and and the other students were like, "Oh, ooh."
Apparently, they didn't know that. And once they found out, they were like, "Yeah, we don't talk to cops' kids."
I feel like everybody should learn the dark side of the history of the United States, including like, well, we'll talk about the Dole and the Chiquita banana stuff later. That's exciting, but also some of the other stuff.
Yeah, that's not a great story.
No, there's some good awareness about the problem with law enforcement in this country for sure. I'm not sure that Kendrick Lamar is the voice. Maybe he is. I don't know. Man's got a Pulitzer.
It depends on like the age of the students too, but I feel like that would be totally fine. Like I wouldn't have thought anything about that in high school.
Engagement challenge. Do you support Kendrick Lamar curriculum for your children?
That's probably enough to get this thing flagged. That's not great.
Now, this is just common basic sense. I mean, they should not have to tell you this.
Bike Share Toronto urges riders to please wipe down the seats if they're renting the bike for a naked ride event that is apparently happening in Toronto.
Think of all the juices.
Turns out it's not illegal to be naked in a lot of places.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be in places where my bits touch places where other people's bits have touched like that, though.
Also, there's got to be some like chafing risks.
Yeah.
Now, here's something that certainly had a long time coming. I don't think that we'll get it universally, and I don't think they went far enough.
Yeah. North Dakota sets an age limit for Congress candidates. Is it 50, 55, 60, 81?
80 just seems...
Now, that's not just 81 cutoff. If you will turn 81 during any point in the term, you're disqualified. And that's, I guess those are 4-year terms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 6. So, I don't know. It's better than nothing, but
Good Lord.
crazy that we have to have that rule, right?
I can't think, like, I can't imagine myself being in my 70s and 80s and being like, I want to work some more. Like, just go retire.
Well, the only thing that would motivate you would be something just...
Probably not good, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but think about, like, that just goes to show you how much work that they're doing.
Yeah.
And how much they're actually getting in return for not doing that work. And the Pope, oh man, he is catching a lot of flack. He seems to have a little bit of loose lips behind the scenes, and sometimes people notice.
Pope Francis accused of repeating a homophobic slur that prompted the Vatican apology in the first place. Might have said the same thing again in a closed-door meeting. Oops.
And as usual, Magic the Gathering embarrassing herself. Although this, I think, may have been taken a little bit out of context.
She apparently didn't know that electric vehicles actually run on electricity.
Now, she said the price of gas would go up if we all drove electric vehicles, and people were like, no, you're stupid. It's supply and demand. It'll go down. It will go up because they won't make any more of it. So ultimately, I think she was right when of what she said. I don't know if she understood that.
I don't think she understood. I don't think she was thinking about it that complicated.
So maybe she needs to spend more mana before she does these speeches.
She needs to level up wisdom.
She needs some more colored lands.
Krista doesn't get the Magic the
I
Gathering.
don't know. I had friends who played, but I didn't play.
And here's an amazing one that you would think is like an open and shut case, right? But no, actually.
California teacher arrested for DUI, child endangerment, faced no charges. It's not illegal to teach drunk.
Isn't it illegal to be drunk in public? Isn't a school a public place?
I think you have to be like outside, right? Or I don't know. That's a good question. But
A good lawyer.
I think
could
you
get
have to
that.
be drunk and disorderly. And
She was drunk and orderly, so.
No, yeah, she was, just like teaching, but clearly inebriated, but she wasn't like causing trouble or anything. They took her on DUI, but they couldn't prove that she was drunk when she drove there. She could have drank the alcohol at the school. And teaching drunk, they say, totally fine.
It's definitely the case that several of my grade school teachers, maybe a high school teacher or two, they were definitely hitting the sauce throughout the day.
We had a
Really?
dude that he always carried his thermos like for his coffee, and we'd catch him gone and take it was pure vodka. Yeah.
I had a coworker like that at a grocery store. Looked like he was drinking Gatorade. Was not Gatorade.
Well, the UK is having a new election. There's been some real upheaval over in Europe with the recent elections, and we have some favorites coming back.
I love this. General election. Count Binface and Elmo. Yes, that Elmo are set to return.
Is it that Elmo though? I think this is like discount Amazon.
Yeah, that's
Elmo.
not even the real Elmo. You think they wouldn't allow?
It's
Yeah,
AliExpress.
it has to be
yeah.
just different enough for copyright purposes.
It's weird that he's allowed to call it
Why
Elmo.
Elmo? Because isn't Elmo, that's America, like PBS, our public broadcast.
I love how
They can't even have their own mascots over there.
it's such like people. I guess over it. It's just they know that it's such a spectacle. They're just like, all right, we're going to lean into the spectacle of it. Good job.
I mean, isn't that how you get elected these days?
It's-
Now, I like this. This is Lord Binface and Lord Buckethead. Or, no, I'm sorry, Count Binface.
I don't remember
Lord
those on
Buckethead.
King Arthur's table.
Now, do you think because one of those guys came up with the idea first, right? Are you mad that guy's taking your thunder, or you just like having a friend?
I want the Black Knight. 'Tis but a scratch.
That'd be a great thing. If some guy who's like lost some limbs in the war or something.
Oh.
And spending in government, that's a bit of a concern, right? Now, in this case, I don't think the people of Arkansas have any complaint here because this money was paid back. But how about anybody who's ever given a penny to the Republican National Convention?
Prosecutor won't file criminal charges over the purchase of a $19,000 lectern by Arkansas governor's office.
Straight to jail.
That lectern apparently is a $7,500 lectern. So
Which
why-
doesn't, where's that money in that picture?
Yeah.
Look how crappy that microphone is. Probably wasn't even included.
And
was
half
it?
of it looks like it's plastic. It's not even like a nice wood one. Like it's probably not solid wood. It's probably veneer.
I don't understand anything about this.
Anyway, she did pay it back. I don't think she's going to get in trouble. But again, anybody who gave her campaign money, what are you thinking right now? That's insane. And school boards continue to ban books, which, boy, that seems like a red flag, right? Somehow society has completely just, all right, let's start doing that. And then when people sort of double down and, try to point out the hypocrisy of it, they say the quiet part out loud.
Quote unquote challenges our authority. School board in Florida bans book about book bans because it quote unquote challenges our authority. Oh my gosh. South Park got it right. It's like this. It was never about banning books. It was about respect the authority.
Meanwhile, Alan Gratz got exactly what he wanted, which was massive press for his book.
This is wild, but also like this is bad. Like, how do you not see that this is?
And if there's anything that points out we're heading back to serfdom,
Yeah.
it's that everything about that time period seems to be making a comeback.
IDF forces use a 15th century weapon, a trebuchet,
Yeah.
against Hezbollah, and it really because it was like they're not enough of a threat for us to use expensive munitions. We're just going to set the old laundry on fire and lob it over the wall.
Well, there's a lot of brush and bramble, and it's really thick. And they were finding that the ordnance was blowing up before it could penetrate that. So those missiles, if you don't know, are really expensive, and even the artillery shells. So yeah, let's just get some trash, set it on fire. The North Korea's doing this too.
Tally ho, lads.
Kind of wild.
And here's a fall from grace, one of the finest role models that a young person from the 80s could ever have. And look how far he's fallen.
Man named Optimus Prime arrested for car theft in South Austin.
Why would he need a car?
He is a car. Is it like he's got a face tattoo? Is that
Is that the Autobot symbol between his eyes?
I thought it was, but maybe
can't
it's
tell.
actually maybe it's like a Mason
Control
symbol
plus
or
plus,
something.
hit it. Zoom.
I don't know.
Well, we got to do some investigative reporting here, chat.
Oh, you've I don't know. Could just as easily
Nah.
be Masonic.
It looks like maybe some kind of weird character.
Well, that's a tragedy.
What is it?
I hope they give him some energon cubes when he's in jail, so he can stay alive. And this is something that we see in headline after headline. I do not comprehend how that you don't know that you're pregnant. Wouldn't there be a lot of changes?
There would be a lot. Some people don't menstruate like consistently, so if it disappears, it's not necessarily that weird. But there's enough other changes that you would notice.
Not even one of the big ones.
Unaware she was pregnant, this Virginia mom gave birth at a Taco Bell. A miracle out of nowhere.
You got to name that kid Chalupa, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And you probably get a branding deal with Taco Bell if you do it right.
That'd be true. But probably not a branding deal for this doctor who was, he had the bad luck to be the bearer of bad news. Point out the failures.
Point out.
Mumbai doctor quoted on finding a human finger in an ice cream. Oh, I thought it was a big nut. Sort of rolled it around his mouth a little bit, spit it out. He's like, wait a minute. And then he's like, now I've got to get a full blood panel done. Thanks.
Whose finger was it?
They're still trying to figure it out.
The ice cream company put out a press release and they said, we've stopped doing business with this third-party vendor. But it's like, if the third-party vendor is making the ice cream, what are you doing?
They serve it. That's it.
And that's not the only nut-related ice cream story.
A Cold Stone Creamery faces a suit over the lack of real pistachios in their pistachio ice cream.
Pistachios are expensive.
Turns out they were just using pistachio dust to recreate.
Not even dust. They gave the ingredients of what was in it, and it's just like, an ultra-processed misery list with like weird dyes and stuff in it.
Oh, now I want ice cream.
So,
Turns out shoe polish is a good ingredient for fried chicken.
They claim that you should totally not expect that. If you come into a store like that, you should know that you're not getting real nuts.
Fabulous.
Just, you're an idiot if you don't.
But don't they have to have allergen information? That's kind of confusing, isn't it?
Not when they don't put nuts in anything. And Krista, you are a mushroom lore expert. And I remember you've told us about this. This is basically the Mario mushroom. And a lot of people don't know that maybe this can kill you very horribly. But what I didn't know, and probably shouldn't say this, right? But it can get you high.
Emerging psychedelic mushroom alternative more toxic than fentanyl, new research suggests.
Is this the Amanita?
Yep.
That whole family's got.
Muscaria.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. That's like, when you think of like a mushroom, that's the one like the red and white.
Yeah. And you'll trip a little bit on it, but you also probably be very ill.
The same family, Amanita, has they call it the death angel, which we did a story about recently. That'll shut down your kidneys and your liver.
And they say that we're going to ban all of these too, but in my mind, it's like, well, wait a minute. If we know that people are going to do the mushrooms, why don't we just give them the safe mushrooms? And here is a boy. If you don't have anything to do this weekend, let me suggest that you go down this rabbit hole, because if in terms of black marks on American history, this is one of the bigger ones.
And it goes back 75 plus years. Banana Giant held liable for funding paramilitaries. Recently, Chiquita. Chiquita. What? Yeah, this goes back. It turns out that
I do love a banana,
in Colombia, Chiquita has been doing some things to make sure the banana prices stay low, including some destabilization things. Yeah.
There are some pesky rebels in these kinds of places, and they have these weird ideas that, like, hey, maybe we should be benefiting from the bananas instead of Chiquita. So how do you control that? Well, you hire the incumbent terrorists, make sure that they're well funded.
This is not a fluke, in case you're wondering. This may have been going on for the better part of a century.
Maybe also look into the Sandinistas, the old Ollie North, what we did there. Oh, there's some good reading there. You won't feel good afterwards. Let me warn you about that. You might feel kind of like you ate some ramen that was a little too spicy.
Denmark recalls Korean ramen for being too spicy.
I was trying to tell if we had this in our pantry right now. I don't know if we have this particular one.
Do you like it?
I like a lot of the weird noodles.
Do you like the spicy ones in particular?
I like them with a certain amount. I can't do the super spicy. I probably couldn't do this one.
I had a lot of spicy peanut noodles while I was in Taipei. They're fabulous.
I really like gochujang, which is a Korean spicy paste. It's good.
There's a jerky recipe that uses that, but I can't find it.
There's some at Kroger.
Right?
Yeah, they have a couple brands.
So the idea here is that whoever ruling board in Denmark is saying that there's so much capsaicin in these, it could conceivably kill someone who was maybe like young or weak or whatever.
Young and weak. Their bloodline.
Is that culling not what we need when we've got a $9 billion or $9 billion population?
I mean, maybe they have a point, but I can't help but think, like, maybe just let the people eat the spicy noodles. Like, what a white person ruling.
There's a great, I think it was Louis C.K. has a great joke, and it was like, maybe the peanut allergy's there for a reason. And maybe these are there for a reason. Oh yeah, it's because no one cares about our health, and it's all about line going up.
Water and chemical industries challenge Biden's rule to restrict quote-unquote forever chemicals in drinking water. As in, a little bit of forever chemicals, probably okay.
Some PFAs, that's fine.
Except for when it's not.
Now, Europe already bans these, right?
Yeah.
So it can be done. Somewhere on Earth, they're doing this. They figured it out. But these companies are saying that, I think it's, 2030 that we have to have this done? And they're saying that
That's
there's
too soon.
no
That's
chance.
so generous, too. Like, you have like 5 or 6 years to get that done.
Well, they're saying that there's no way they could buy all the equipment that they need and get this done, and it doesn't make any sense. Literally, all the bottled water strains these out, right? Like, the facilities are already here.
Yeah.
And a lot of people push back on this. I wonder how much astroturfing that is, but I'm definitely off all artificial sweeteners. I don't trust any of it.
Common low-calorie sweetener, xylitol, which used to be in the headline, but CNN has now removed from the headline, interestingly, is linked to a heart attack and stroke, a study has found.
It's also very bad for your dogs. That's on the list of no-nos on the vet poster.
This showed up in Reddit, too, and the bots were out in full force on Reddit. It's like, no, it's fine. So that probably means it's not.
But now this could be big sugar, right?
Yeah.
Playing in the other direction. The propaganda is so thick that you don't know what direction it's coming at you from.
I can't wait for Big Sugar to come out with a breakthrough food sweetening thing known as fat. It's like, oh, everybody should switch to fat from sugar. And now everything's fine again.
I can't grow my own sugar cane. I've already grown so much other food.
It also doesn't give you the same fix. As a sugar addict, I will attest. And I love to have these stories in, which is, all that xylitol stuff that's based on a scientific study, right? But we don't know who funded it. We don't know if it's real. We can't trust any of this.
Researchers plan to retract a landmark Alzheimer's paper containing doctored images that has been cited thousands of times.
And used for all these new drugs that they're rolling out for Alzheimer's.
Again, I don't know if the community, like a doctor community commented on this and is like, well, we know for sure there's some sort of amyloid link between this, so this is probably not that egregious of a thing, but at the same time it's like, okay, but maybe it is.
I don't know what to eat. I know what not to eat, and I do it anyway.
Yeah.
And these gentlemen or gentle people probably didn't know that they shouldn't do this, but they made a terrible mistake.
Oregon Ridge wildlife habitat mistakenly mowed, fueling outrage in Baltimore County. The county mowers were like, hey, there's this field. We should mow it. It was filled with all kinds of stuff for birds and bats and bees.
Pollinators, yeah. There's a beautiful field on my drive in. I don't think people are doing anything to it, but it's got lots and lots of black-eyed Susan in it right now. It's very pretty. It's a very good pollinator plant.
They need them.
Yeah.
They got nothing right now. Their bees are stressing. And Krista, when you take your dog out, do you ever go off leash when you're out?
No, Rue has terrible recall. I've worked with her, but she'll do okay for a little bit, and then she'll see something that interests her, and she's just off.
I think you have to just expect that from your dogs, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of in their
some
nature.
people can do it, but
some people fail spectacularly.
Woman mauled to death had posted a video of her dancing with an extra large bully,
bully breed, I assume, yeah.
To a song saying, I don't really care if the dog breed is banned. Well, it turns out she was mauled to death.
It's a tough lesson.
Oh, you got to reject all of them.
Good
There's so many cookies to
I
reject.
No, it's off by default. Okay. Still a little, they're getting a little dark patterny.
Yeah.
This one was bait for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we all have the same feelings about these guys, but can you really stop them?
Pigeon problems. Germantown votes to have the birds killed, outraging animal rights activists. They literally have to cull them here because there's a terrible disease rampaging them. And so, like, the state actually, and the state and the feds are culling them because the population is also out of control.
But I don't think they're trying to kill all of them, are they?
No, but they have to. They're never going to be able to kill all of them, but they are killing everyone they trap.
But these people voted to kill all of them.
Yeah.
Which is insane. I mean, how would you ever?
The women and the babies too.
There's going to be a chosen one pigeon who survives.
My people have all died.
The bad thing with pigeons is that they were basically domesticated probably like 5,000 or 10,000 years ago, and they'll just breed in an unchecked kind of a way, which is bad for the local ecology as well. Kind of like cats.
Yeah.
Like, cats are really bad for the local ecology.
Yeah, that's why you should keep your cat indoors.
There's another animal that's way worse. It's people.
Yeah.
But not elephants. Everybody loves elephants, right? They're smart, they're big, they're adorable. They exhibit some human behaviors, and maybe even more than we ever expected.
African elements address one another with individually specific name-like calls.
Oh.
How do you know this? Well, they use machine learning. The machine learning worked out as like, yeah, this one's all, the other ones are usually addressing this one with this name. Played it back, and the one they played was like, oh, hey.
That's my name. Yeah.
You rang?
That's really cool. That's animals. Some can recognize name. Like Rue recognizes her name, but she doesn't like say it. Obviously,
it's not 100%, but I'm pretty sure I've got the cats to where they can recognize greenies.
Oh
if
yeah.
I say greenies, that's.
Does this imply we'll get to a point where we can, feed some of this data to a large language model and have an elephant translator a la the dolphin translator that was on Sequest 2021?
Here's what this means. Someday we'll Neuralink an elephant, and then you can go in and have elephant experience.
Oh, we had the story about the rat. It must have gotten accidentally deleted.
The rat?
Yeah, you had a story about we Neuralinked a rat, and then we fed all of its neural activity into a thing and then modeled the simulated rat's behavior, which exactly mirrored real-life rats' behavior.
I think you hallucinated that.
That
was the thing that happened.
Well, I mean, I wasn't in the list.
Maybe it was a link from one of the stories.
Maybe. What if you did just make that up? What if you're so delusional?
I definitely read that story while I was reading the stories for this, but I could have been distracted by something that showed up on the same page as one of the stories. But
that happens sometimes.
Yeah, no, we literally we put a bunch of sensors in a rat brain, and then trained a model on it, and then simulated the rat in the computer, and based on reading the rat's brain, we were able to exactly perfectly predict in the simulation what was happening, which is wild.
That's terrifying for the future.
You can't let them know your next move. You got to start being more silly. All right.
It's like the sandwalking, but mentally.
Yeah.
You have to become schizophrenic in order to avoid the AI.
Speaking of sandwalking, we really need to see what happened with GameStop, because at the time we're shooting this, we don't know. What happened?
Did you buy some shares? Or you phone?
No. I'm just
curious.
I'm too risk averse because somehow it's like, oh, I've invested $500 and somehow I owe somebody $5 million now. I guess as long as I stay away from options trading, that can't happen.
All right.
No, if you shorted GameStop, your maximum loss is infinite.
On that dire note, we will see you guys next week, hopefully with news about GameStop.
Isn't that the goal for the hedge funds, though, is to short them into infinity and beyond?
But it went the other way. They lost the money.